The northernmost part of the globe, the Arctic, is a windswept polar desert. Here, during the brief summers, temperatures never rise above 10 degrees Celsius, while the long winters can average -40. It is one of the least hospitable places on the planet. Life here has developed remarkable responses to this icy environment. In this episode, we meet polar bears, walruses, killer whales, moose, and wolves. Characterized by its ancient glacial formations, the Arctic landscape is ever-changing, dominated by the extensive ice sheets that grow and subside seasonally over the frigid waters of the Arctic Ocean. This is the domain of the Arctic's most famous resident, the polar bear. With males weighing upwards of 600 kilograms, the polar bear is the largest terrestrial carnivore on Earth. However, because the vast majority of their time is spent on the sea ice of their Arctic environment, and because they rely on this sea ice to hunt, polar bears are actually classed as marine mammals. In this frozen terrain, the search for food keeps polar bears in near constant motion. Their preferred prey, seals, inhabit the Arctic in their millions, but taking them is far from easy. In the months when there is sufficient ice cover, polar bears must search out the holes that seals use to breathe and lie in wait to launch their attack at the opportune moment. When the ice is too thin, or the seals too elusive, polar bears exist on their fat reserves or scavenge whatever food they can find. With the sea ice, a notoriously precarious surface, polar bears have adapted to become excellent swimmers. Granted buoyancy from their insulating layer of body fat, they use their large forepaws to paddle through the freezing water with incredible efficiency, and have been documented swimming non-stop for days at a time. Although generally solitary animals, when they do come together, polar bears are noted for their curious and playful social interactions. Young males especially can form friendship bonds and engage in play fights in order to prepare for mating competition later in life. Superbly insulated against the harsh Arctic winters, polar bears are active year-round. While they do not hibernate, pregnant females dig maternity dens in the snow in order to protect newborn cubs from the elements. Generally giving birth to 2 young, the cubs will stay close by their mother's side for the first 2.5 years of their lives. From her, the cubs will learn the necessary skills to hunt, forage, and survive in this most testing of environments. From an early age, the cubs must be able to travel. With the melting and freezing of the sea ice and the seasonal migrations of their prey, polar bears must remain mobile if they are to feed and live in the ever-shifting world of the Arctic. For these bears, it is a nomadic life, and the cubs keep pace with their mother as she guides them through the vast expanses of their frozen home. Enlarged paws with enhanced traction help her on the journey, distributing load over thin and slippery ice. And it is increasingly thin ice that polar bears find themselves on, with global warming having a more marked effect on the Arctic than just about anywhere else in the world. shrinking ice sheets equate to a shrinking habitat for polar bears. And with the ice breaking up earlier each year, their prime winter hunting season is also being reduced, driving bears to shore with insufficient food reserves to endure the lean summer months. Adapting superbly over tens of thousands of years to survive in the Arctic's narrow temperature band, the question of how the polar bear will respond to today's rapidly changing climate is yet to be answered. At first glance, the desolate, forbidding landscape of the Arctic appears utterly unreceptive to life. Yet this cold, barren world harbors a specialized and surprisingly abundant biome, not the least of which is to be found in the surrounding waters. Walruses are the largest seal species in the Arctic and the second largest in the world. Social creatures, it is rare to see a walrus alone, but recent observations are indicating that onshore gatherings are increasing in size, with rising temperatures leading to reduction in the Arctic's ice shelves. The rocky beaches of the coastline are now hosting herds in their tens of thousands. Of the world's 5 oceans, the Arctic is the shallowest, and this is to the walrus's advantage. Feeding primarily on the shellfish found near the dark ocean floor, the easygoing walrus is able to nourish itself more effectively by taking longer dives to the lesser depths. Here, their characteristic whiskers come into play. These highly sensitive organs can detect mollusks and clams just a few millimeters in size, which the walrus then sucks the meat from with its powerful lips. After a successful feeding foray, walruses will haul themselves up out of the water, turning their rear flippers forward in order to walk on all fours. Once on terra firma, they will rest for several days, sometimes enjoying siestas of over a week before they venture again into the frigid waters. Because the Arctic Ocean is salt water, the water temperature must drop to minus 1.8 degrees Celsius before freezing, and the walrus is perfectly comfortable in these sub-zero conditions. Up to 10 centimeters thick in places, the wrinkled skin of the walrus covers an even thicker layer of blubber beneath. Not only does their blubber insulate them, it can also be converted to energy in order to see walruses through the Arctic's lean times when feed is less plentiful. Curiously, the purpose of walruses' most recognizable appendage, their tusks, is somewhat unclear. These elongated canines can reach a meter in length and were once thought to be used in feeding, though more recent research has shown this is not the case. Instead, it appears the tusks are more of a multi-purpose instrument used in self-defense, for hauling their weighty bodies out of the water, and for maintaining breathing holes in the ice. Importantly, as males with the largest tusks have the most success in breeding, it seems the tusks are a status symbol in walrus society, one that's irresistible to females. Weighing over a ton, due to their enormous size, adult walruses are rarely predated upon in the wild. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the demand for walrus products, including tusks and oil, saw the species severely overhunted by European sealers. With several resident populations driven to extinction, in the 20th century a ban on commercial walrus harvesting was put in place. Thankfully, the numbers have been able to recover, and these gentle giants can remain relaxed about their future in the Arctic. In the waters of the Arctic, one creature presides over all others: the killer whale, properly known as the orca. The imposing and unforgiving world of the Arctic is also a place of raw and profound beauty. With the haunting light display of the aurora borealis flowing across the skies overhead, some of the Arctic's most majestic assets can only be found below the surface.